Well, thank you to Gary, who's just left the studio. And the reason why we had that particular piece of music was because it introduces our next guests. And that is Becky Barton and her colleague, our friend, Karen. Hello, guys.
Hi there.
Or girls, or friends, I should say. And that piece of music, Becky, was chosen because...
Yeah, that was one of the group that I run in Stratford, Stratford Fibro Friends, Fibromyalgia group. One of our group members suggested that song. I think it's one that keeps her sort of encouraged to keep going, really.
Absolutely, and it sums up sometimes some of the days that can occur.
Absolutely.
For our listeners, it's World Fibromyalgia Awareness Day on Sunday, and Becky started a group. We first had her on Welcombe Radio a couple of years ago. It was,
yeah.
I know, and you were just talking about a group then. So do tell us a little bit about it, and also Karen, welcome.
Welcome.
Now we need you go to the group sometimes, or
yes, every week, every month.
Yes,
I go to the group. It's helped me a great deal.
Okay.
Me and Becky started it off. We just met each other in swimming, and we said this is going to be great for people, and it has turned out absolutely marvellous, and it really is a supporting group.
So if you don't mind me asking, you were diagnosed with fibromyalgia?
Yes.
Recently or a while back?
Quite a while back.
So there must have been when it was just first coming to the notice of our surgeries and our doctors.
Yeah, how mine started off, unfortunately I had cancer. Thank God I got over cancer. And then I was very, very poorly afterwards, and they diagnosed me with chronic fibromyalgia, which is very, very painful.
Yes, I think one of the biggest things, if you ask anyone who has experienced it, that's the biggest common thread, I would say, and in places you wouldn't expect.
Correct.
Like eyelids.
Absolutely. Yeah, all sorts. Yeah,
yes.
All sorts. Fingers and
yes,
yeah,
fingers.
Places you don't really think about usually.
Yes, yeah. So coming back to you, Becky, then. You and Karen met at swimming. You talked about your experience, what you were going on, and this idea came up. But quite often there are ideas, and then but you've actually managed to get this going.
Correct.
Well, it's something I'd had in mind for a while, and it had been coming, in and out of my head about starting a group. And it originally started because I phoned up Fibromyalgia UK to find out where my local support group was, and they said the nearest one to here was in Coventry. And I can't drive that far. I couldn't cope with that, and I thought, well, my background was in youth and community work, so I've started up a lot of community groups in the past, and I thought, well, maybe I could start something off, and I just didn't have the energy to do anything about it. And so the time went on, a few months went by, and then one day I was talking to Karen in the changing room, weren't we, at the swimming bath?
Yeah.
And she was you were really down that day, weren't you? Just been to the doctor, and the doctor had just really not helped at all, and she just said, I don't know what to do. And I said, well, what do you think about a group? What do you think about starting a support group in Stratford? Would you find that helpful? And she said, oh yeah, definitely. So that was it, really, wasn't it, the start of it? And we said, well, let's get something going. And initially I started it on Facebook. I thought, well, we'll go the Facebook route, because it means that it doesn't rely on any one person. If we're too poorly to run a group, and it takes effort, doesn't it, to set up a meeting with tea and coffee and all those kind of things, and too much for us, really. And I thought, if we set it up on Facebook, then it means that it'll run, and even if I'm too poorly to be doing anything about it, people can still communicate with each other, and it's a forum. So I set that up, and within about a week there was about 35 members on it.
Yeah.
Just took off, really, and within a few weeks there was over 60 members. And then people started saying quite early on, you know, when can we meet up? So we started meeting, didn't we? First meeting we had in the Everyman Cinema Bar, and quite a few people, I think you came to that, Louise, didn't you?
Did.
Quite a few people came that day, and then ever since then we've met every month. We alternate between mornings and afternoons, because with the condition, some people find it too hard to get up in the morning early, and also other people find it, you know, by the afternoon they're just too tired. So we said, well, we'll alternate each month, so that it gives everyone a chance to get along. Well, I say everyone, it doesn't give everyone a chance, in all honesty. A lot of people are still working or doing other things, but it covers as many bases as we physically can, really. From
the people that do manage to come, I mean, you've sort of, is there one this week, or we just had it?
Just had it yesterday.
I had a feeling it was.
We were low on numbers this week. Quite a few of us have had a really rough couple of weeks.
Very bad.
Well, I don't know whether listeners may be aware, but if you get a viral infection or something else while you're dealing with the condition, then it sort of seems to take that little bit longer and can affect one that little bit more. And I don't know about you, but I find this changes in weather throws me.
Absolutely,
It's funny, because a lot of us just this week has really been bad. I myself, Becky, and some other people. Why the weather, I don't know. But I was told that many years ago, that it is a climate change. Because fibromyalgia is muscles.
Yes.
We've covered in muscles, you know, muscles in the eyes, everywhere. So, I mean...
Well, actually, you saying that, you know, of course, we've got something like 27 muscles that help make us smile.
Yeah.
No wonder if a muscle is inflamed and is hurting.
That's right.
No wonder things... Like the jaw,
muscles and tendons as well. Tendons is a big problem, and between muscles and tendons, it pretty much covers the whole body, really, doesn't it?
I was diagnosed in 2004, so although I'm doing really well at the moment, and have done for a little bit of time, there were days when my will was there. I wanted to do something,
but you can't.
But it just like the body wasn't catching up with the desire. And I think unless you've either been with someone or living with someone who has it, or has it oneself, of course, it's very hard to grasp, because we can look perfectly ordinary, and we can have good days. And we're out there, and, you know, and people can think, well, what's going on?
Yeah. I always call it sort of a blind illness. People really just do not know what you are going through.
That's right.
You know, you can speak to somebody outside, and you can give them a smile, and they can say, "Oh, you look absolutely great today," but inside you are absolutely in agony.
I jokingly sort of say to people, I've done this little experiment a few times, and every single time, without fail, when I put my makeup on, people say to me, "Oh, you look so well. You look really good today. You know, it's nice to see you doing well." And it's got absolutely no bearing on what's on the inside, but because my face looks all made up and, you know, I've got a smile on,
I said that
people
today.
don't see it. You know,
Well, that leads me on. Probably, we've got a couple of pieces of music you could choose from. We've got the Lauren Daigle Look Up Child, or you can have your Mary Mary. Which would you like first?
Should we go with the Mary Mary one? This was a song that I was listening to earlier today, actually, and the lyrics it was just so appropriate, I think.
Okay, Charlie, if we could have the Mary Mary one, which is... Wow, that is, you said good lyrics, absolutely. Good choice. Absolutely. We were talking a little while listening to that about the group and about people's personal experiences and about how the group works. And you've got a special day tomorrow.
We have.
So please, what's happening tomorrow, girls?
So tomorrow, obviously, Fibromyalgia awareness, you've already touched on, is on Sunday, the World Day. So tomorrow we've got a special event for 2 hours from 11 till 1 at Carl's Kitchen, which is in Briarcroft, just off the Ulster Road. And they've kindly said that we can host it there. So we'll be there. A few of us from the group will be there, and we'll have lots of information out and some cakes as well.
Nice.
And really, it's an event that we just want as many people in the community and friends and family and all sorts, doctors, healthcare professionals, just anybody to come along to, really, just to learn a bit more about fibromyalgia, because although a lot of people haven't heard of it, some may have heard of it but don't really understand, actually the chances are that everybody knows somebody who's affected by it in some way, shape or form. And while there's not a lot of treatments that can help us, actually the understanding of friends and colleagues and people in the community helps us massively. You know, when people understand a bit about what we're going through, that's a huge help.
And for you, Karen, did you find that obviously you were really poorly to begin with, and then to be given this next diagnosis? How did you? You've had family. You I just hear you say you've got a grandchild or grandchildren.
Yeah.
So how are they? How are they with you, and how are you with them? How are you finding life?
They don't really sort of understand, because there is so many symptoms of fibromyalgia. Memory loss, eyesight. You could write pages, and they just don't understand when the actual speech comes out and it's all a bit mixed up. What you're saying, Nan? You know, how do you explain to a 7-year-old child all about fibromyalgia? You just can't. But I'd just say, you know, Nan's having a sort of an off day now, and that's how I get round things.
That's such an underused or overused line, isn't it? Just not quite myself today.
Yeah,
and that's the only way that you can put it across, and then you sort of back off a bit and let them carry on.
So they've accepted there are times when, you know, there are things you're just not able to do.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at tomorrow's Carl's Kitchen.
Yes, that's it.
Between 11
and
1. And there's lots of information. I can see a leaflet that Becky's got.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I've just designed a leaflet about fibromyalgia, because there's not a lot out there in terms of information. And when I was diagnosed, when a lot of people are diagnosed, the doctors say, go away and look it up on the internet. Well, a lot of people can't do that, and actually when you do look it up, there's so much information out there, it's hard to make head nor tail of it. And I just wanted to have something that is quick and easy to understand, and able to be given out to newly diagnosed patients, but also for us to give to our friends and family, to just explain it very briefly. So this leaflet, we've just actually had a grant given to us this week by the municipal charities to get a lot more printed off. And the plan is that will go out to doctors' surgeries and be able to be given to people. So if you've got an interest, if anybody you know is suffering with this, or if you are and you want to get hold of this leaflet, do either ask at your local doctor's surgery in the next few weeks, or look us up on Facebook, Stratford Fibro Friends, and send us a message and we can get leaflets to you.
I'm just having a quick look, and its very first page is the irritable everything syndrome, and that
yes, that explains
it up a lot.
Absolutely.
I know with the group, part of it is if for those that can get there is something very helpful about meeting others and really just the support that comes from knowing someone else is experiencing or has experienced something. Right. But we were talking about medications, because there's so much out there. And some things can help some people and some things don't. So any bit of advice on that for you two?
I'm tried the old-fashioned remedies, hot water bottles, and relaxing. When you have got a bad day, say to yourself, I'm having a bad day, and just let it be like that, and then think about tomorrow. Tomorrow will be better, and always think positive. That's my motto.
That's right.
So starting off with always look on the bright side, and life is a good choice.
And in terms of medications, you know, it's definitely not a one size fits all. You know, so what works for one person doesn't work for another, does it? So you know, it's all very very individual, really. Yeah.
So tomorrow's how would you put it? It's not a get together.
It's an awareness event, I think, really. Yeah.
Good food at Carl's Kitchen, by the way.
Yes,
it's lovely.
Yes, absolutely.
Highly recommended.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone who hasn't been there, I've had lunch there many times, but I understand they also do a very good breakfast.
Yes.
And sometimes
Very
you have to book.
Yes.
Very nice.
So that's very good that they're supporting. So a good cup of tea or coffee, as well as, I'm sure you said, some cake. But almost in terms of if someone who is experiencing some things but doesn't realise it might be, they're trying to, as you said, because it can, the symptoms are many and varied.
Very many.
So both of you, your journeys when you first started, you know, how long was it before you took yourself to the doctor and asked questions?
It was some time, because I thought, great, I'm over cancer now, and I thought, what is happening to my body? I thought there is something not right. So naturally I went through all the channels, and then they finally sent me to a rheumatologist. If anybody knows the Selly Oak Hospital, many moons ago, I was sent there, and that's when they diagnosed it, and they gave me a leaflet, and they said, this is what you've got, and that's it. And I've learned all about it ever since, by myself, really, because there just isn't a lot of information out there as such.
But when you consider, Becky, you might know the kind of numbers that actually this affects.
Yeah, I mean, it's surprisingly high, actually. It's surprisingly common. They estimate about 1 in 25 people are affected by this. So obviously some of us are affected a lot more, a lot greater than others. I mean, Karen and I suffer quite badly with it. There are some people that do have it and are still able to carry on working and live a relatively normal life, but it can vary. But obviously that's quite a high number, really.
It's extremely high,
and
number.
It affects more women than men as well. Although it can and does affect men as well.
And obviously from us, we're in the studio. Our listeners can't see us, but we are of differing ages.
Yes.
So it's not like it's only within one spectrum.
No, absolutely. I mean, even in our group, we've got people. I think the youngest person in our group is about 18, and the oldest, well, I don't know. I think probably that we've got people nearing their 80s and things. You know, it's not one particular age group.
Well, I'm sure there are an awful lot of people who probably have the condition, but it wasn't diagnosed as such many years ago because it wasn't known. I mean, I know it's coming up. You've just done a vlog.
Yeah, I've just done my first vlog this afternoon. Actually, a few people have said to me for a while I should do some vlogging, and I've been a bit too nervous and not really knowing what to do. But my daughter, she's 11. She said to me last night, "Mum, you should do vlogging." So I thought today, right, well, this weekend's as good a time as any, so I could give it a go.
Well
so
done.
It's on YouTube as of this afternoon.
Good for you. And we know that there's an article coming out in the local paper.
There is, in the Observer. There's an article in the Herald this week, and there's going to be an article in the Observer next week, the Stratford Observer.
And I know nationally there has been just very recently an article in the national press, and there are more people, celebrities, I suppose, or well-known names that are beginning to say that they have the condition.
That's right.
So perhaps slowly awareness will.
Yeah, it's very difficult because, like you say, there are so many symptoms, and sometimes people do sort of jump on the bandwagon and they hear, you know, a certain symptom and they say, oh, that's what I must have, you know. And actually it's worth noting that it's a very, very hard condition to get diagnosed, and which is why it takes so long, often years, for a doctor to diagnose it, because they have to rule out so many other conditions first.
Always seek medical advice.
Absolutely.
Yes, I think that is actually a very wise words there, because even though we might think we know what it is, we don't necessarily.
That's correct.
Right. And I was noting from the awareness days that they've separated out the ME and the chronic fatigue syndrome and the fibromyalgia now, whereas they were all lumped into one, and they aren't. No. They're not the same. That's right. And they do have their own distinct characteristics. That's right. Before we close and we play your last piece of music, I want to say thank you very much, both of you, for coming in.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
And obviously, folks out there, tomorrow, 11 and 1, Carl's Kitchen, is that right?
That's it, yeah.
Please join.
That's it. Do come along, yeah.
You'll find a friendly face.
If nothing else, we'll have too much cake left over if you don't come. So come and enjoy some cake and say hello.
Is there anything else you'd just like to add, Karen?
I would just say, anybody out there, you know, everybody with fibromyalgia, keep positive.
Yeah.
And one of the days they will find a cure for this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Becky,
so much. Yeah, just thank you for listening, and please do just try and find out some more about this and see how you can help support people, really. Yeah.
And if you're know someone with it, you don't yourself, I would encourage people to just always remember that there may be a lot more going on than their nicely made up face.
Yeah, and also I think one thing to really note as well is that you know, don't assume that just because somebody looks normal that there's nothing going on. You know, not all disabilities are visible.
Yes.
So yeah,
I think that's very true for a lot of things. Our last piece of music is Look Up Child, and again from Lauren. How do you say her surname?
I think it's Daigle.
Daigle, yes. And good lyrics, I would think, from my memory. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we wish you all the very best for tomorrow.
Thank you very much.